Today we are diving deep into how to play Moon Knight like a pro in Marvel Rivals. Moon Knight's primary fire is the Crescent Dart. It deals 25 damage and bounces between up to 4 enemies, but each bounce reduces its damage by 20%. His secondary fire, the Moon Blade, is a larger projectile dealing 80 damage and can also bounce between up to 4 enemies. Now both the dart and the blade do have headshot multipliers, so make sure to aim for the head if you want to maximize your damage output. A pro tip for using his primary and secondary fire is to alternate targets to chain your damage efficiently. As you can see here, as I shoot this target and this target alone, yes, it does ricochet, but when I alternate, they die much quicker. His next ability is the ankh, which is Moon Knight's most important tool in his kit. Throwing it down not only pulls enemies together, but also gives you aim hacks. Here's where it gets spicy. You can use the ankh to hit enemies behind cover or around corners. This is because only your ankh needs line of sight to the enemy for your projectiles to connect. You can also place up to 2 ankhs at one time. Take advantage of this by throwing one early before a fight to start the 12-second cooldown, then set the second one. This allows you to chain ankhs together for a larger radius, hitting more enemies at once. Also, be aware that ankhs have low HP and can be destroyed. Tuck them behind enemies or in spots the enemy wouldn't expect to make them even more powerful. Ankhs are also super useful in 1v1s. This is because throwing the ankh between you and your enemy will give you a massive advantage. You can spam attacks that cannot miss, forcing them to either ignore the ankh and die, or focus on destroying it, giving you the time to reposition or finish them off. Moon Knight has a ton of mobility. He has a grappling hook, double jump, and a glider cape. Combining these makes it easy to get to off angles, keeping you unpredictable and making it more difficult for enemies to deal with you while you spam your damage into their team. These movement abilities are also perfect for getting out of sticky situations when enemies target you. Speaking of enemies targeting you, if you're in a tough spot, his triple eclipse melee ability uses 2 batons to smack enemies, launching them away on the 3rd hit. Use this to create space and escape using your movement abilities. Now here is a pro movement tip for Moon Knight. The grapple hook can be clunky since it doesn't just pull you to what you shoot it at. It actually jumps you in the air and pushes you towards the direction you shot it. Instead of doing this, grapple the floor in front of you and it will launch you high into the air. You could then use your double jump for even more air and then glide to another off angle to fight from. You can even use this mid-fight to confuse opponents and land some easy hits with your Crescent Dart. Also, throwing the Crescent Dart while airborne negates Moon Knight's floaty movement, making you a harder target to hit. Moon Knight's ultimate, the Hand of Khonshu, summons a portal that rains devastating hand-shaped projectiles on enemies within a 7-meter radius. Unfortunately, the projectiles are on a short delay after casting the ultimate, which can allow enemies to escape. That's where this next tip comes in. What you want to do is cast your ult and then immediately throw an ankh into the center of your ult. The ankh will pull enemies who are trying to flee back into the center and make it much more difficult for them to dodge the projectiles. The best times to use his ult will be to finish off team fights or to clear enemies off of a point.